high expectations of us to meet key performance indicators. We have to deliver results. And this can lead to cutting edges, misreporting, or compromising even when we have our values. And the nature of our short-term things that we have to do that. And sometimes we say that the results, we must do it at all costs. That mindset, and we sideline ethical consideration. And then we also have power imbalances where junior employees feel disempowered. It makes it difficult for even the junior employees to speak up against unethical behavior, especially when it involves senior officers. Then fear of retaliation, loss of jobs, and other things. And it can silence whistleblowers, and perpetrators will continue to misconduct themselves. So when leaders set the tone at the top, if they model integrity, others are likely to follow. When ethics fails, what happens? When ethics break down in professional environments, the consequences can ripple far beyond the initial misconduct. Organizations often face severe reputational damage, which can erode public confidence, and that will take many, many years to rebuild. Sometimes we have financial losses, penalties frequently follow, draining resources and undermining long-term stability. Loss of trust from both internal employees and externally with our clients, stakeholders like the government, and that is often the first casualty. Once trust is lost, either difficult to regain or you don't get it at all. Individuals may also face serious career consequences. Camera. Oh, okay. I'm told my camera is off, and if you are BBC, I'm struggling to get the camera. Oh, okay. Okay. So over time, when we have ethical failures, the organization itself can lose the reputation that you might have built over the years. And when you have a situation where the integrity becomes the exception rather than the norm, it means there's something really wrong. Why ethics matter in business and professional settings? It matters a lot because they protect the interests of all stakeholders, your clients, employees, communities, government, and of course, the general public. When organizations act ethically, they build trust and credibility, and it strengthens relationships that enhance their reputation. Ethics and compliance are closely related, but they are not the same. Whilst compliance focuses on meeting the minimum standards required by law, regulations, and organizational policies, it answers the question, what must we do? But ethics will go further by asking, what is the right, fair, and responsible thing to do? While compliance set the legal baseline, ethics guides behavior in situations where the rules are silent, ambiguous, or insufficient. Legal decision can still be unethical because the law represents only the minimum standard of acceptable behavior. Sometimes they comply with regulations, yet still violate principles of fairness, responsibility, or integrity. For example, You have to go, when you go to hospital, you have to pay. That is the law. But when somebody comes with no money, the person doesn't have the money to pay, and you're a medical officer or a medical person, are you going to look on for the person to die because the person cannot say, even though it is the law? That is where legal things also becomes unethical. And these are the things that you have to live beyond what the law says. But what is fair, what is acceptable behavior that you have to do? What are the benefits of ethics in decision making? When you use ethics in decision making, it reduces the risks and uncertainties. Because when you're using the framework, it guides your choice. It helps you to avoid legal, reputational, and operational pitfalls. Ethics will help you to improve judgments under pressure, especially when it is under pressure. And it can also build your personal confidence. When you are ethically correct, it makes you consistent, and it boosts morale and operational cohesion in your organization. Sometimes we are so emotional about what we do, and that is what we call the gut feel decision. When you rely only on your emotions, emotion-driven choices overshadow careful analysis, and it can lead people to act on impulse rather than insight, and it can create space for rationalization, the tendency that you justify your actions after the fact. So we need to be very careful when you are using emotion to take decisions. So when you use emotions, you become inconsistent and unpredictable and sometimes unfair. Why intuitions can be valuable depending on it without ethically reflection. Unstructured decisions are far more vulnerable to emotions, bias, and inconsistent reasoning because it lacks the clear criteria and disciplined thinking that you need to guide your judgment. So, what are the steps that you need to take? And that is the ethical decision framework. The first one that you need to do is to recognize the ethical issue. When you recognize the ethical issue, it's a very crucial step in your sound decision making. It means you have to pause enough to ask whether the situation involves potential harm to anybody, whether there's any element of deception or unfairness, and whether something about the choice feels uncomfortable. This question helps you to think ethically early enough before small decisions can drift into bigger problems. When you train yourself to notice these signals, you create a space for more thoughtful, principled judgment. The next one is you gather the facts. How do you gather the facts? What are the things that are known to you? Information that you can know with confidence. Example, documents, events or actions, policies, laws, rules and regulations, and that will help you to apply your decision framework on it. Whether it is going to affect anybody, so emails, reports, timelines, and other things. You need to know those that are known. You need to check. You gather the facts to make sure that you're on the right path. What are the things that you don't know, but you are just assuming? These are the beliefs, interpretation, or expectation, things that have not been confirmed. And common types are things that you have heard, you have assumed, people have told you, but you haven't even confirmed that. And it doesn't mean that when you assume it is a wrong thing, but it is something that needs verification. Because if you don't verify and you take decisions based on assumption, it can come back and you realize that it has become unethical. And what are the things that are missing? You don't have information at all. There's no data. Even if there is, it hasn't been validated. And missing information often determines whether the issue is ethical, legal, procedural, or interpersonal. The third step is clarify values and principles. What are the values? Integrity. It means what you do should align with your values, even when it is difficult or inconvenient. Then it is about your honesty, consistency, and doing the right thing, even when no one is watching you. When you have integrity, it builds your credibility. And credibility is the foundation of all ethical things, ethical actions that you do. What you are doing, is it fair? And fairness, it requires that you treat people and situations impartially, without favoritism, without bias, double standard. It means you have to apply the same rules, whether it is your sister or your brother, consistently across everyone that you have to deal with. And whether you ask yourself whether you are transparent in how you take your decision, openness in decision making, what information that you use, why certain actions are taken. And when you are transparent, it reduces suspicion and it strengthens your trust and helps stakeholders understand the reason behind actions that you have taken. Then accountability means taking responsibility for your actions, your decisions, and their consequences. You need to include being answerable to your stakeholders, and you have to acknowledge your mistake. And when you are wrong, you take steps to correct whenever you are wrong. And now you must admit that as for this one, it didn't go well. And you have to be responsible to uphold the standard, expectations, and ethical obligations of your role. And it also includes making sure that whatever that you are doing, you are competent, you know what you are doing. You have to be skillful in the decision that you take. The step 4 is that you review laws, policies, and codes. Legal requirements, organizational policies, and professional standards. They create a structured foundation for ethical decision making. They ensure that choices are not only principled, but also compliant, consistent, and professionally sound. What about the legal requirements? Legal requirements will normally define the minimum standards of behavior set by national laws and the national laws and regulatory bodies. They clarify what is mandatory, what is prohibited, what action will carry legal consequences. When you understand the legal context, it prevents decisions that will expose the individual, the organization to liability. So, professional standards. So, code of conduct, HR, and procurement policies, they will clarify what you should do under what circumstances. And professional standards outline the ethical and technical expectations set by professional bodies or industry associations. They normally will reinforce your competence, what you have to do, integrity, due care, and responsible practice. You need to identify your stakeholders. When you identify stakeholders in your ethical decision making, it is very helpful because you have to ask this question: who is affected? And the person who is affected, is it now and later? You need to think about employees, immediate employees, then your customers, your clients, the leaders, the society, the environment within which you work. How is your decision going to affect all of them? Then the decision that you are taking, who is going to be beneficial of it? Who is going to benefit? And those who are going to be benefit, is it distributed fairly? Is it towards those who are powerful or those who are vulnerable? Does the benefit align with your own values and then the mission of the organization? Then who will bear the risk? Are risks proportionately placed on those with less power? Have we mitigated foreseeable harm? Are we transparent about trade-off? Have we consulted enough internal staff, leadership, the government, compliance officers? And are we prepared to explain this decision publicly? Would you be comfortable if this appears in the newspapers? Would you want to be on the news headlines, the decision that you have taken? If the answer is no, it means you are not on the right path. Step 6, identify possible options. So when you are confident the action is ethical, aligned with your own values and within your authority, then you act. If you need more information, you need more time to reflect or input from others before proceeding, then you need to delay the decision that you want to take. What about if it exceeds your mandate, your pay pocket? It is something that you need to get information from your superiors or other people. Then you have to escalate. You have to get authority from your seniors or other thing before you take that decision. What about if the decision that you're going to take will compromise your own integrity or it will violate any ethical standards? Then you have to decline involvement. You don't have to do it at all. What about if the issue involves misconduct? It is a crime or it is against something that's, yes, it's a crime. Then you have to seek, either you seek clarification, you inform your superiors, or you report formally. That is, if the organization has a formal way of reporting such things, then you have to report. You need to evaluate consequences. That is step 7. When you evaluate the consequences of your decision, your ethical decision, it helps you to understand the real world impact of your decision. Ethical choices require looking beyond immediate effect to consider how your action can shape people, the organization, the government, the general public at large. Whether it will have short-term impact within the next 2 months, the next day, the next 1 year, what will be the impact of the decision that you are taking today? And whether it will also have a long-term effect. Maybe for now, it will be fine, but what about tomorrow? What about in a month's time? And whether it's going to affect you as an individual, some individuals, or the organization. Individuals may face fine, lawsuit, criminal charges, depending on the severity of the misconduct. And if it is fraud, bribe, and other things, maybe you have to be prosecuted for it. And if it is the organization, how is your action going to affect the organization at large? Is it going to, is the organization going to lose the trust that it would have built over the years because of your action? And then the consequences of with relationship with other stakeholders, how is your action going to affect all of them? You need to think about that one too. Then step 8, you need to test the decision that you're going to take. Ask yourself, would I defend this publicly? Would I accept this if the tables were to be turned and I would be the one receiving that? Would I repeat the decision consistently? From a powerful ethical checkpoint, often referred to as triple test, you have to ask yourself this question. How would I defend this publicly? You have to test transparency and accountability. If you're uncomfortable with that, if you're uncomfortable explaining this decision to somebody, it means there's something else. If you're uncomfortable, if the issue gets out, then it means there's something wrong. And ask yourself, will you repeat this decision that you are taking across board? If it is another person, will you take the same decision like that? Then you can also seek guidance. Step 9. If you are not too sure about the decision that you are taking, you need to seek guidance from trusted people that you can trust, because they offer their candid opinion based on their experiences and perspective, and it can help you to take the right kind of decision. Or if you have ethics or compliance officers, you can also discuss the issue with them, and then they can HR, maybe they have the rules that they'll go back and bring some and lay down procedures and regulation, and it will help you to take the right decision. And sometimes you can also talk to your mentors, people that you respect, people who have gone through the mill, they have experience, they've maybe gone through the same similar thing before. When you also talk to them, they can help you to take the right decision. Then step 10 and 11, decide, you act, and then you can reflect. So if you are able to clarify the decision, then what decision you have to make, who is affected, consult relevant facts, policies, and perspectives, including ethic officers, peers, friends, mentors, and you take decision. But remember, whatever decision, you have to take responsibility for the aftermath of the decision that you take. And if you take the decision, explain clearly to people, explain the reason why you took that decision, especially if that decision is going to impact on others. It's not every decision that will impact on all people positively. Some people will be impacted negatively. And if it is impacting anybody negatively, you should be able to explain that this decision, even though impacting on you negatively, it has a very high positive impact on the general people. And the outcome, did it achieve its objective, the decision that you took? And you need to identify the lessons, what worked and what didn't work. And if you have another opportunity to take the same decision, will you take, in the same circumstance, will you take the same decision, or you amend based on the outcome or the results that happened? So with all these 11 things, what are the things that small and medium enterprises and businesses should do? You need to establish a clear ethics policy, and that should align with your human resource. Policies are essential for guiding employees' behavior and decision, making decisions across the organization. The policies should serve as a foundation for fostering a culture of integrity, accountability, and respect. Businesses should provide continuous training for people. And when you provide continuous training for people, it helps them to be aware of their responsibilities and consequences of their action, so that whatever decision that they take, they will pause, reflect before they act. You need to recognize ethics conduct, and then you need to address breaches. And you have to also openly reward people who have taken ethical decisions when the situation is such that it was very difficult. Sometimes we are likely to drift into a situation where integrity becomes the exception. So even things that are very routine, people do it and they are rewarded. And when you start doing that, it means integrity is now an option. It's the exception, not the routine. So you need to ensure that when you are rewarding ethical behavior, it should be something that should be such that ordinarily people shouldn't have been able to do it. Then it is something that you should be able to reward, but not anything, routine things. When people do what they are supposed to do anyway, then they are rewarded. That is not what I'm talking about. But when people go beyond, then they must be praised, they must be rewarded. And you also need to embed it. You have to embed ethic training into your routine things that you do. And you as a leader, you need to lead by example. When employees, everybody, your clients, when they know that the leaders are being ethical, it will just come as a natural consequence that those who are below you will also be ethical. And when they see that you are doing things that you are not supposed to do, they are likely to copy, and they will also do that. Then you also need to provide a channel where people can report on ethical conduct. And nobody wants to be called a concern in the organization. But when you provide a channel where people can provide information about unethical conduct anonymously, it will help in so many ways where people know that if I do anything unethical, I will be reported and action will be taken against me. And I wouldn't even know who reported me. That anonymous channel will go a long way. And whatever that you put into action in your organization, you must communicate to the employees to know. They must know why these things are put in place and why it is like that. When they know that things are put in place, we are supposed to do ABC because of ABC, they will understand and they will likely be compliant in that. So ethics is a decision discipline. It's not just good intention. Professionals face pressures, ambiguity, and competing interests every day, which makes ethical choices harder in real times. That is why we need to have this framework, why we need to have a structured way to help and guide everybody in decision making so that it can provide slow, structured, and people can think well before they take decision. When you put this trust, it provides consistency. When people see that you apply the same standard across board, irrespective of who, then it helps build that kind of culture in the organization. Remember, integrity is an asset. It protects your reputation, enhances your influence, and support long-term success in any sector, especially in the public service. And leadership and integrity go together. Ethic decision making is not about being perfect. It is about being intentional about what you do. When the pressure is high, remember that a bird that flies on the earth and lands on the anthill is still on the ground. Your shortcuts may feel like an escape route for you today, but you must live with the consequences later on. Thank you very much. And let me leave you with this. Ethics is not just about rules. It is about courage. It is about standing up, speaking out, and choosing what is right, even when it is hard. Every decision that you take is a reflection of your own values. Inaction is not neutral. It's a decision that has consequences. So let's choose with clarity, courage, and our conscience should guide us all the time. Let's walk the ethical path, not because it is easy, but because it is the right thing to do. Thank you very much for your attention, and I'll open the floor for your questions. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Madam, for the presentation. My question is in three forms. The first one would be that you made mention during your presentation that ethical failures often begins as small compromises made under pressure. In practical terms, how can a professional like us recognize when they are starting to drift into an unethical decision without realizing it?
Okay, thank you very much. Like I indicated earlier, ethical issues are not the one big thing that you do. They come small, 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 bit and bit. And sometimes you don't even realize you are drifting. But you must always look at the trend. And in your own thinking, when you start thinking like this is just once, somebody did it yesterday and nothing happened, it is not a big deal. After all, I deserve it. It means you are drifting. And When you focus on the benefits of the decision that you are taking without looking at the consequences, it means you are drifting to unethical behavior. And sometimes we justify by saying, I don't care. After all, whatever happens, it doesn't matter. And sometimes we say that somebody did it. It doesn't help. This is a small thing. It doesn't help. So you must always pause to think. When you start having in your mind some of these things, it means you are drifting, and you must pause to think about whatever decision that you are taking from that, especially when you are under pressure. You are supposed to meet some key performance indicators, and then you want to cut corners. Then you are telling yourself, well, this is the only one that I'm doing. Tomorrow I'll be very careful. Then it means something is wrong. That is why you must always use the transparency test. Will I do it consistently? If the tables were to turn, will I be happy if it is done to me? Will I be able to explain this action that I'm going to do openly? Or will I be comfortable when I'm telling people what I've done? So we must always be guided and be aware and be conscious of us when we are drifting to unethical behavior.
Okay, thank you so much. I would also like to look at it from the working environment. How can organizations encourage employees to apply ethical decision frameworks, all right, in environments where performance pressure and deadlines make it difficult to pause and reflect before acting?
In fact, that is what we face every day. There's performance pressure and other things. Organizations can help employees by coming out with some like posters. For instance, you enter your office and then it is written, don't do A. Coming to work early is something that we do. I've seen somewhere, I think one of the banks, where they have written, your thank yous are okay for us. So every day people will see that, and then they realize that they don't need to expect anything more than the normal thank you. So easy to apply ethical considerations. And then you also need to be conscious about what people do. When employees are not afraid to talk about their ethical dilemmas. They are not afraid that when they come to people, the managers or leaders will open their doors to them. It will help them to open up to them when they have any dilemma, ethical dilemma. And then when you also put in place your regular meetings, when you talk about it, it is something that you can discuss. When you have ethical compliant officers, people that you can approach when you have issues, it will go a long way. So when people are given the opportunity to discuss issues, and then there's that support in the organization, even when you are under pressure, and then you open your door and some poster there that like some time ago where police officers also came out with something, we don't accept bribe. So you just get to your office and you see that it will continually remind you that you are not supposed to do some of these things. It will help, even if you're under pressure, something easy to remember will help you to remember to be ethical in all that you do.
Thank you so much. That was a great explanation. My last question would be to SMEs, Ghanaian daily startups and businesses, who may not have formal ethics or compliance unit. What are some simple steps that they can take to embed ethical decision making into their everyday operations?
Yeah, we all know that SMEs may not be capable of putting in place compliance officers and ethical officers, but there are some few basic things that you can do, even if you are SME. Example, when the leaders lead by example, they set the tone from the top. Whatever that they do is ethical. The people working under you will learn from that. And then you also need to open conversation. you need to encourage transparent conversation about ethics and the values that you hold. You also need to have some simple tools like easy to remember questions or checklists to guide people when they are in dilemma. And in your normal routine meetings, you need to discuss things, especially when somebody has gone through some ethical dilemma and the person has been able to come out successfully. They need to share. How did you do it? And these are things that will help you to be ethical, even though you don't have what it takes to put in a well-structured ethical information to other things. And then you need to encourage people to speak up. If it's you are unable to do that, then people will have things that maybe simple talking to would help somebody to take a very good ethical decision. But because there's no opportunity like that, people are unable to share what they are going through and they think what they are doing is right and that is what they will do. And it is not helpful. So even if you don't have what it takes, you can do some minor things to help you. And once everybody in the organization know that you have zero acceptance for unethical behavior, it will go a long way to help, even if you are SME.
Thank you, madam, for the answer. Now, I'm about to read the questions from the chat box. So please, if you have any question, kindly type it in the chat box for me, please. So first, from Isaac Bonny. Madam, please, the question says, are we born to be ethical or we have to learn to be ethical?
Are you born to be ethical or you have to be nobody is born with everything in the mind. You know, sometimes the way you are brought up, the home that you come from, it means you would have grown up to be ethical, but you must always make conscious effort to be ethical, especially when you find yourself in a situation that your values must guide you. I don't think there's anybody who was born with everything in the head, but your upbringing will make you ethical. Sometimes the home that you come from will even make you unethical because your parents are lying and you are there. You hear them every day. So when you come out, you would have thought that that is the norm. But even if you are brought up from a home where everything is fine, everybody is ethical, you must always make conscious effort to be ethical because you go through situations where it will be so difficult for you. But because of the values that you have, it will always guide you to be ethical.
Thank you very much, madam. Second question is from Theophilus Adi. It says, can a pastor who admits to starting a church for personal financial benefit be considered ethical simply because he stops exploiting members after achieving his financial goal through lottery and then betting?
This is interesting. So it's like when you do armed robbery and then you get enough money and you stop, it means whatever you did is not ethical. That is even crime. So the point is, ethics is not something that you do and stop somewhere, or you go and do something and then you can now, I am ethical. It is something that should be part of you. But after all, it is better to say, I have now become ethical. But you don't start anything with some bad intention. We all know what churches do. They are supposed to bring us closer to God. So once you start a church and then you make money, and because of that you stop, it is still unethical. So whatever aim, the reason why you started the church shouldn't have been money making in the first place. So if you have now that you want to be ethical, then give back whatever that you have exploited from them back. Then it means you have now realized what you did is not ethical, so you want to be. Then people will understand. But you don't start something bad and then you come and say that I have stopped. No. Ethics should be from the beginning. Whatever that you do should be ethical, and we must all make conscious effort to be ethical. I know sometimes situation is such that you don't know what to do, but there's always an avenue. There's always a way out of it, especially when you seek help. You seek guidance from people. Probably somebody would have gone through worse situation than this, but the person was still able to come out successfully.
Thank you very much. Another question is from Frank Lowry. It says, to what extent can one stand his ethical grounds in group decision making when consensus building is preached? I repeat, to what extent can one stand his ethical grounds in group decision making when consensus building is breached?
Okay, so I already indicated that when you want to take decision in a group decision, you ought be part of it. If you think it is ethical, you have gone through the rules, everything. If it is beyond you, escalate. If somebody else has to take decision, add some input and other thing, or decline involvement. And if you decline involvement and you have to report formally, then report. That is the only way that you can be ethical. It doesn't matter whether it is group decision. And the group decision, like I already indicated, every unethical decision will initially be like an escape route, but they always have consequences. And you need to look at the aftermath, what will happen either to you as an individual or to the organization or to the general public at large. Once it is unethical decision, whether it is taken individually or in the group, it is still unethical. But if it is good, escalate to higher authority, decline your involvement, and report formally for the right action to be taken.
Okay, madam, thank you very much. Um, Zinabu, please, could you unmute and then ask your question, please? I want to give everyone the opportunity to at least ask the question themselves. So if you could unmute Zinabu Musa, if you could unmute and then ask the question, please. Okay, what about Ben? Uh, Michael also. Okay, so I'm reading this question from Bernard Amelopi. It says, what should be the motivation for being ethical? And on this question, I would like to invite our partner, Mr. Nene Adiko, to take on this question for me, please.
All right, thank you very much, Kuku. So on the question of what should be your motivation so that you can be ethical, my simple response to that is there isn't the need for you to be motivated. What we must all understand is that ethics is a value. And since it's a value, it does not depend on motivation. Motivation is a feeling. So if today I'm motivated, I'll be ethical. If tomorrow I'm not motivated, I'll be unethical. That is what the question is trying to pose. And what I want to say is that it's a value. Irrespective of whether you are motivated or not, you keep dear the value, live the value, and demonstrate the value. And sometimes in demonstrating the value, you make sacrifices and you pay for it. So if you let it depend on motivation, it would always be a failure. It's a value. It must be built into you. It must be embedded into you, and it must operate whether you are motivated or you are not motivated. So that's my short answer to the gentleman. And Mami, maybe you want to add a few to it. Mami?
Yes. What I want to say is that, like you already said, ethics and ethical behavior should be part of your life. It shouldn't be something that you must feel or you must be motivated to do. Because when it is part of your life, you do it, it comes to you naturally, and it will be like a walk in the park. But if you only want something, then it means it is not part of you. But we must try as much as possible to have the value, and it should be said that anybody will see you and know that this person's values is something that I want to emulate. But it's not like today you feel like doing it and tomorrow you don't feel like doing it. If you don't take care, your ethical values will become a crime. And at the end of the day, it will take you somewhere else that you may not want to be.
Thank you very much for the answers, Mr. Adiko and then Ma'am Tiwa. I read this question. It says, Madam, it appears some of our leaders do not want their subordinates to be ethical because subordinates are expected to say yes to everything their bosses say, even though some are quite unethical.
Yes, that is why ethical framework is important. But if you don't set the tone from the top, then it becomes difficult. But like this song that they sing, everybody has a master. Even the leaders also have masters. You have the board, you have other people, the audit committee, and other things. The reason why we have some of these things is because you must report up. Even managing directors also have somebody that they report to. So if the organization has a framework, how decisions are taken and where you go when you find unethical behavior, then it is the way to go. And if the tone is doing something wrong, there's somebody at the top, somebody also above the top. And that is the person that you must report to. Otherwise, the top is rotten and it will get down to everybody to be doing that. And talking about SMEs and other things, if we don't embed ethical issues in what we do, it will never grow to become a structured company. And if we don't get SMEs moving up and employing all people, this country will not be where we want it to be. So we must make conscious effort. We must be intentional about ethical behaviors so that we can move to the area where we want to do. Little unethical behaviors will grow to become big things, and it will go a long way to affect otherwise a good organization to come down to a level where it will not be good for anybody, for all stakeholders, including the organization owners itself.
Okay, so we have a hand raised from Lawrence. Lawrence Kojo Afedo, please, could you unmute and ask your question, please?
Okay, thank you very much. Uh, I like the word, the intentionality about ethics. My only concern, I have been finding ways and means to, and I'm happy I've gotten this opportunity today. Since you are at the very top of the nation, working hard, I wish that you consult our educational sector. If ethical studies can be brought down to the basic level, even if you can start from class one through to the advanced level, there it becomes part and parcel of us. But it appears the head is rotting, then you get to advanced level, we are taught that ethics is, these are the essence of ethics, or we are now learning ethical studies. It becomes very difficult for such a change to happen overnight. So
Yeah.
I would like to plead with you that since you are at that top of working at the top, coordinate with the relevant authorities so that if it can be embedded in our curricula, it will be very nice for us. It will help shaping the fortunes of the nation. Thank you very much.
Yes, I can't agree with you more. Those who build ethical issues from the beginning, from class one, class two, primary, from home, are likely to be more ethical. So I agree with you that it should be part and parcel of our life. I have a niece in the UK, and I went there, and he was doing something about, they were writing competition. And I told him I wanted to look at it for him. And he said, no, that will be cheating. I have to do it. And he was, I think it was about 9 years. He said, oh, I will not allow you. And she was so much passionate about not even letting me know that he had to put a password on his laptop so that I don't even look at it. And these are the things that you need to help people, these children, to develop from the initial stages of their life. But sometimes we take things for granted. When we are lying and our children are there, we don't blink, we don't see anything wrong with it. So they grow up to realize that probably lying is normal thing. So if we develop this from KG, people to know that when you don't tell the truth, small things, did you take this, did you put it here, it grows to become something big. I agree with you, and I think makers and partners will take this up, maybe send some proposal to the Minister for Education, and then probably they will listen and they will take it from there. Because like the person who asked the question said, ethics cannot just grow in us overnight. It is something that we must build, we must grow, we must nurture as we move up, so that it will become part and parcel of our lives. Not just one day we become ethical. And we should also have certain, like in the schools, in the clubs, like scenario-based role play, so that when we come closer to something like that, it will guide us as to the type of decision that we need to do. But it is something that we need to take seriously as a country.
And also, Madam Tiwa, to just add to what you said, and also to respond to the question. Yes, it is true that we need to make advocacy for ethics to come to our schools. The other side of the story is that a lot of us here on the platform are parents. We must inculcate the belief in ethics from home. If we do not start it from home, there is an extent to which the school can do. The question is, how long is your child exposed in the school? Maybe just about 6 hours in a day, or maximum 7 hours in a day. But they spend more time at home. And if at home, parents live ethically, parents teach ethically, parents embed ethically, then that is it. We begin to change our society. So we shouldn't just be comfortable saying that the government should bring it to the school. But you and I here, who are parents and have children, we must start from home. Some of these lessons that we are hearing here, we must take it to the home and teach our kids and talk to them about it and model them to be ethical. That way, we affect our communities, we affect our neighborhood, and then it grows to the larger nation, and things begin to change. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Adiko and then Madam Siwa. So please, if anyone else has a question, can you also kindly unmute and then ask the question, please? Like also appear. Could you unmute and ask?
Yes, please. Thank you very much. So my question is on the issue of ethical relativism, and that is different orientations, have perspectives on what is ethical. So when in an organization of all kinds of people with different perspectives on what is ethical and what is not, how does the organization then reconcile this? Thank you.
Okay, so the test that you have to do, the organization, what is, ethics is just about doing what is right, doing what is fair, doing what is good. So you ask yourself, whatever that you are doing, even the organization, is this something that is fair? If you were the one receiving it, will you be okay with it? And is it something that you will repeat consistently across board? Is it something that you can defend publicly? If the answer is no, it means there's something wrong, it's unethical. But if it is something that you can shout out to say that I did this, if it is something that you can, even if it comes on a newspaper headline, you can defend. But for any organization to be confused as to what is ethical and what is unethical, it means that organization doesn't really understand the issue of ethics. It means they are just mixing anything anyhow. But you need to be intentional about doing what is right, doing what is good. And fortunately for us, we have the law that has set some basic standards for us. Laws, rules, and regulations. They've set the basic standard in every organization. We have the basic standard. That is why we have a time to go to work, we have a time to go on break, we have a time to take our leave, another thing. These are the basic things. But if you're doing anything and it is not fair, it is not transparent, you cannot account to anybody, it means it is unethical. An organization should be able to come out with what is ethical and what is not ethical. There shouldn't be any confusion at all, because the laws, the national laws are there, the organizational rules and regulations are there, and that should be able to guide you, because that one set the minimum standard for us, and you can always improve upon it to make it better for the organization.
Okay, thank you very much, Madam. Now we receive the last question from Ajiti Michael. Please, could you unmute and ask the question, please? Ajiti Michael, please, could you unmute and ask your question, please? Okay. So we can read one last question. We take our last one and then a question marks. Now, please, it says, how expensive it is institutionalizing ethical behavior with respect to organizations, most especially governmental institutions.
Well, I can't hear anything.
It says how expensive it is to institutionalize ethical behavior with respect to organizations, most especially governmental institutions.
Who is responsible for putting in ethical behaviors, or is that not what you said?
So how expensive it is.
How expensive it is. Okay, how expensive it is. I don't think it should be so expensive to put ethical behavior framework together. Oh, I didn't get the question well.
It says, how expensive is it to institutionalize ethical behavior with respect to organizations, most especially governmental institutions?
The regimental institutions.
Governmental, I mean the government institutions.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
I think it will be too expensive to do that, because these ethical decisions are not something that you have to go and get some software or some machines to be doing that. Some of these things are very, very basic. For instance, when you come to work, you must work. and then you come to work, you work. Then when you go on break, nobody is watching you. You are supposed to spend 1 hour, and then you decide to go on break and you don't come back. These are all unethical behaviors because nobody is watching you. Sometimes they are so basic things. I don't think it is so much expensive. It becomes probably a little bit expensive when you have to employ compliant officers, ethical officers who will be observing what people do. That one is just an addition, but you can also train some of the existing staff to be ethical officers so that they can ensure that people are ethical. But I don't think it is too much expensive. But ensuring that people comply, that is the expensive nature of it. For instance, in my organization, Ghana Police Service, look at our number, and you want to observe all the traffic officers so that they don't do what you don't want to hear. Then it means you must provide every traffic officer with the camera, the one that you wear, so that whatever that they do, you can monitor. Probably that will be that. But if the organization is not too much and it's a just basic thing that they have to do, just putting some posters on the wall or sending emails every morning talking about things that they have to do. Here we don't do this. Our your thank yous are okay for us. We don't. That is enough to help people to remember. And you need to know what you are doing, things that will be unethical to the organization. That is what you have to be in the context of your organization. If there's something that somebody is doing and it is not applicable to you, you don't bother to bring that to your organization. But if it is something that it's in your context, it's good that you need to do, then that is what you do. But I don't think it should be too much expensive to put there. You can start and build upon it. And once people also identify with the values that you want to create, they'll go by it. And before you realize, everybody is doing the same thing. I've gone to an organization where they were so nice to me. And when I was leaving, I decided to give some tip to the person. I had the most embarrassing moment of my life when the person nicely declined to take the tip that I was giving. And I also traveled to Botswana, and the police officer who was our escort, when we finished and were coming back at the airport, we decided to jet freely because they were on time, they were nice to us. And the person said, no, your thank you is okay for us. I don't think you need to spend so much money for people to do what they did. I went to Botswana 3 years after, and I tried it again, and it was the same thing. So it means it must people must imbibe that one in them to be able to, and they need to understand the benefit of it and the consequences of it, especially the consequences. If you don't name and shame people who are unethical, people will just take it for granted that, oh, once nobody is going to do anything to me, then it doesn't matter. I'll make sure that I'm not found out. After all, even if I'm found out, nothing will happen to me. So we must make that conscious effort that we must start small and then build upon it.
Okay, thank you very much, madam. Please, we have one announcement from Fiona Asamoah. Fiona Asamoah, please, could you unmute and then let us have your announcement, please. They'll have the closing remarks, then we'll close the session.
Thank you very much, Kuku, for giving me the opportunity. So before I give my announcement, I want to confirm how many people have heard of ESG. So you can just give me a reaction, just a reaction. Okay, so Makers and Partners is good. I've seen a reaction. Good evening to you all. And then Makers and Partners is pleased to announce that in May, we'll be hosting a high impact ESG workshop. And then we are super excited to invite you and have you participate. The training is themed transitioning from ESG awareness to credible execution and impact. It's a practical implementation. And then this workshop is designed to equip professionals from not only about with practical and real world use from theory to practice. And then we'll have distinguished facilitators that would deliver high level professional facilitations and then information. So we'll share the details with you via email. The full trainings will be shared via email. And then we look forward to welcoming you. So this is what we have for you. And then we're excited to share this event with you. Thank you very much. So do expect information in regards to ESG in your emails as time goes on. Thank you all very much. Kuku, thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Fiona. Now I call upon Nanaya to give us the closing remarks. Then we'll close this session.
Okay, cool. Thank you, COP Mamiya Tiwa, for the wonderful presentation, and Mr. Wilfred Nene Adiko for the add-on and the contributions you made. They really made our webinar insightful. Thank you all for participating in today's webinar, and would really appreciate your feedback to help us improve our future sessions. In view of that, kindly take few minutes to complete the evaluation questions shared in your chat box, and your responses are very much important to us. That being done, on behalf of makers and partners, forensic department especially, we sincerely thank you for your time, participation, and engagement throughout this session. We hope you found the discussion insightful and valuable. We look forward to having you join us again in our future programs, our upcoming ESG web program, and also other programs that will be shared to you. Thank you once again and have a good evening.
Thank you very much, Nanaya. Please, I've shared the link to the questionnaires in the chat box again. So kindly take some few minutes to complete the forms for us. Thank you very much. So thank you for joining today's webinar, and we'll see you guys very, very soon. Bye-bye.
Thank you.